week long. Not who won the ball game, not the latest sale, not the new car that came out, but church should be the most exciting thing you do all week long. When you come through those doors, you want to understand, I am about to come face to face with God. God is in this place. Angels will be walking around here. People will become healed. People will be delivered. Someone's going to get healed. Someone's going to receive the Holy Ghost. Someone's going to be baptized in Jesus' name. I am about to hear the voice of God. I am about to be helped. I am about to be lifted. This is the most exciting place in the entire world. If most people all out there really knew what we have a hold of, you wouldn't be able to build a building hold. We have to hold it. If they really understood what we have a hold of, this whole city would be trying to get in here, because this is the greatest thing that has ever happened to humanity. There is nothing greater. There is nothing greater. This, people will tell you, this is that. Another that is not coming. This is that. This is that. There's nothing greater than this. You can come from anything to this, but you cannot go from this to anything else. There's nothing else to go to. This is the end of the line. So just get in it and go at it. You need to practice everything you can find in the book. You need to get out of those seats of their hands in the church. You need to be praying for people to heal. You need to get a hold of it because you are a believer. These signs shall follow them that believe in my name, Jesus. They shall lay hands on the sick and they shall recover. And the power shall come from the fire. Bring out to the fire. You've got that power, and that power is right now stirred. That's why you're doing what you're doing. The Holy Ghost is saying it's true. The Holy Ghost is saying inside of me it's true. It's true. It's true. You've got it. You've got what I've got. I've got what you've got. You've got the resurrection power of the name of Jesus. Go ahead. Just shout it out there for me. You know how one of the greatest ways we know Jesus is coming in our day is this. Remember I told you on the hem of the high priest's garment there was a pomegranate and a bell. A pomegranate and a bell. Pomegranate represented the fruit of the Spirit. The bell represented the gifts of the Spirit. The gifts of the Spirit are beginning to break out all over the world, in our churches everywhere. I've been in places where tongues and interpretation, powerful utterances came forth in places which never happened before. When I was in Nuremberg, Germany, 3 years ago it's been that, something like that, the missionary there asked me to teach on the gifts of the Spirit. On a Sunday afternoon, I think it was. No, it wasn't Sunday. It was during the week. So I said, I'll do it. I stood 6 hours and taught 6 hours and went through each one of the 9 gifts of the Spirit and explained exactly how they operate, what you can expect, etc., etc., etc. I gave them 2 10-minute breaks during that 6-hour period. When I finished at the end of that 6 hours with the last gift of the Spirit, the power of God fell in that place. There were RDs there. There were people from Norway that came all the way. They had that session. There were people, there were students from all the Bible schools in Europe. About 95 people altogether were there. There was such a marvelous move of God among them. I came home right after that. I got a phone call from the missionary right after that following Sunday. He said, Brother Stoneking, he said, the most incredible thing that's happened. He said, on Sunday, after they heard what you taught and preached, he said, the gifts of the Spirit broke out in all of our churches all over Europe. The gifts of the Spirit just burst out in all of our churches in Europe. That has never, ever happened before. They're beginning to break out among us because God's going to have it no matter what. He's going to have this the way He wants it. Lady, sir, if God is moving on you to do something, you had best do it. If God is moving on you, you need to yield to the Spirit of God. It doesn't matter what people think. It doesn't matter what they do. Who really cares? If God is moving on you, you ought to give forward. You ought to stand after what thus saith the Lord, what God has given you. Because that's how you come together. Where two or three are gathered together in His name, there He is in the midst of them. God wants to confirm His word with signs following, with utterances. Tap again. There's something moving on you right now. There's something being imparted to you. Something is being imparted to you right now. Receive it in the name of Jesus. Receive this impartation. Receive this authority. Receive this boldness. If it's on you right now, just shout about it. Just lift your voice. Let your voice out. So what I'm saying is, in the Old Testament, when that high priest put on those royal robes and they began to walk, and the people outside the tabernacle around could hear the bells ringing, they knew the high priest was on his way out of the holy place. The reason we know Jesus is coming in our day is because the bells are beginning to ring. The gifts of the Spirit are breaking out. He's on his way out of the holy place. That's the revelation right there. That's the revelation. That's why I'm saying if God is moving on you, you need to yield to it. We've got to have these things. God is going to restore everything. I don't know what you think about all of this, but we're involved in the latter rain right now. We're in the biggest revival the world has ever known, and it's going to intensify because the latter rain is 7 times greater than the early rain and the former rain. Everything you read about in the book of Acts, what we reenacted just before the coming of the Lord, is going to be 7 times greater than anything you read about then. I have to tell you, someone of us is going to be mightily used by God before this thing is over. It might as well be me, and it might as well be you. It might as well be you. Why not? Why not someone else? Why not us? God's never had a perfect vessel to use. He used what was available. Look at the people, the men God used mightily. None of them were perfect. Abraham laughed at the promises of God. We preach about Sarah, they both laughed. Read the text, it's there. That's right. Elijah pulled down fire, then whimpered like a child. Amen. David failed at everything he could possibly fail in the flesh. It's all there. Then you got Paul. He murdered the Christians. You got Peter, who walked on water with the Creator himself in the person of Jesus Christ of Nazareth. And then, when the pressure was on, said, I don't know him. Cursed henceforth, I've never seen him. They were mightily used by God in the end result. God's never had a perfect result. You want to be mightily used by God? Availability is the secret. Make yourself available. That is the key to be used by God. And in this church, from what I can tell, you're free to do anything you want. And no one's going to think you're weird. And if it gets too bad, we'll shout and cover over for you and make you look good. So, what I knew in those days, the choir was lovely. Started at about 7 o'clock, ended exactly at 8 o'clock. Here, you don't know what time you're going to get out of here. That church, if you sneezed, it could wreck a service. If you had a coughing spell, it could cause problems. Here, you could fall dead and nobody would even know you were there.